Hey guys, it's Matt. Lee recommended to me I watch The Social Dilemma. I'm sure many of you have already seen it, but I'm going to title this appropriately. I watched The Social Dilemma so you don't have to, and you can hold the food down that you were eating over the holidays and you don't regurgitate it back up. It was just, let's just get into it.
If everyone's entitled to their own facts, there's really no need for compromise, no need for people to come together. In fact, there's really no need for people to interact.
The whole back end turns into basically a hit piece on the truth community that it implies that almost everything floating around the internet is fake news, and we have to have a consensus on what's real. And of course, these people will decide what's real. Listen to the music, the I don't know, the ominous music. Always notice the music a video plays in the background for effect.
In a country. So long term, the solution here is to build more AI tools that find patterns of people using the services that.
In this reality, the Zuckerberg plays the same sort of bad guy role, plays the role, just like the Melvin Gates character. Always the bad guy, always pushing for more AI. This is his role.
We need to have some shared understanding of reality. Otherwise, we aren't a country.
Again, this is like a big part of the whole back end. There's so much fake news floating around. Of course, the result of these conspiracy people, not really directly at conspiracy, but it mentions flat and all sorts of stuff. And these are just the nonsense roads that people go down on the internet and get themselves. The kid is like turned into a zombie. He's like, this is what happens to a kid when he goes down the path of fake news, and he can't even, he looks like a junkie. And it's just, but see, the front end is legitimate. They talk about how the human being is analyzed as the consumer and all the levels and every click is being recorded. So it seems like your friend, this documentary. Then they'll do the hit piece on the back end. That's how they do business. Between all these interviews with the people from Silicon Valley that designed all this stuff, but now they see it as a big, huge problem that they need to talk about so they can sleep at night. They follow the life of this kid. And he's on his phone a lot. He seems normal, but then he goes down the path of fake news and he goes down the path of conspiracy. And look at the way they show him. He's like some zombie at the end, gets arrested. He looks like a complete junkie. This is what we have to guard against. They'll have 2 interviews or 3 interviews with people from Silicon Valley. Then they'll show this kid at the dinner table. It'll be, fictional situation done. It's similar to that old documentary about quantum physics, about what the bleep do we know. It's kind of how they do it. But the kid gets more and more zombified as time goes on and goes down the wrong path and basically has whole life ruined because he got caught up in fake news.
Problems. AI cannot solve the problem of fake news. Google doesn't have the option of saying, oh, is this conspiracy? Is this truth?
If we don't agree on what is true, or that there is such a thing as truth, we're toast. This is the problem beneath other problems, because if we can't agree on what's true, then we can't navigate out of any of our problems.
Now, you guys know that one of the things I find the most fascinating about how this reality does business is almost nobody's in on it. Hundreds of millions of people at high levels move society and move the collective in a certain way, or push what we call humanity downward towards the abyss without any bad intentions, without 99 point whatever percent being in on it. This guy, I'm sure, just like all the other people they interview, he made tons of money in Silicon Valley. Now he's can't sleep at night, and he's talking about it. And look, he's not that good of an actor, right? He believes in his causes. He has his own foundation now to have people be aware of the dangers of social media, and he believes everything of what he's saying. But he is absolutely delivering every bit of script line that the system would want him to deliver. He talks about we can say primate change, right? Al Bohr, the boar, is primate change. He talks about that as a big problem. And even when he goes to emphasize, he said, if we can't decide on what's real, we need a collective consensus, per my sequential incarnation masters that are somehow putting this idea in my head, and I'm not even aware that I'm doing the bidding of the system. I am in on it without knowing I'm in on it. He makes this pyramid with his hands as he's saying it. Now, this is how the reality does business. I don't know how that pulls this off. I don't believe, Matt, no, he's in on it. He's a high-level initiator. I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so anymore. They're not all coached. And he says we have to come together. Look, I don't know how it pulls this off. That's why I always keep theories on the table like download, things like that. I've witnessed the download, somebody completely changing their mind and their worldview right in front of me. Okay, The Social Dilemmas on Netflix. It's brought to you or created by Exposure Labs. Exposure Labs. A lot of times the production company name is a truth drop. That happens a lot anymore. This documentary drama hybrid explores the dangerous human impact of social networking with tech experts sounding the alarm on their own creations. Oh, the front 30, 40 minutes absolutely does that, and it becomes your friend. So I grab my handheld camera, and the only way I can do this without any issues is to just record the thumbnails as I fast forward through the documentary. You think they're going to let this load? Are you going to let this load? I would hope so, but you never know. All these people they interview are these ex-bigwigs for tech companies that have now grown a conscience. But one guy created the thumb up button or the like button on Facebook. Think he's worth any money? The one girl was one of the first people at Instagram. All these people did something pretty big at a tech company you've heard of. The point is, they're worth, the people they interview here, minimum worth $20, $30, $40 million. Some are worth $200 or $300 million, I'm sure. They've all grown a conscience, and they see the real problem that's developing with this AI analyzing every single click and every single thing that your child does online, and your child's looking at certain web pages and social networks all day long, and they've all grown a conscience like this guy. But how many have given the money back? See, there's where the rubber hits the road. I guarantee none of them have given the money back. That guy just wrote a book. They're not all. Oh yeah, that guy there with the suit on, the older guy, he's saying how dangerous everything is. He was one of the original venture capitalists at Facebook. He's probably worth $800 or $900 million if he got in that early at Facebook. Has he given his money back? No, they're all hypocrites. See that woman there? I finally figured out who she is by watching this documentary. But YouTube has been trying to push a video with her face on it for months. I don't know what it is. I've never clicked on it. But you've probably seen her face too. YouTube has pushed that probably on everybody in our, quote, community. So this guy did something major at Pinterest. I wonder how many have given the money back. None of them. Or, don't Matt, this, I'm sure they have a charitable foundation. Well, put your money where if it's so evil, then give the money away. You won't find that, will you? Look, what is that? Eye symbolism? What else is new? Anyway, guys, so the first part, they just establish your trust, and they'll tell you, just like the Snowden revelations, they'll tell you every single click is analyzed and how ominous these server farms, and they know exactly what to serve up to you to get your attention because they have basically a digital profile on you that is more predictive probably of you than you can predict yourself. And they Snowden give away all this information. And this is such an amazing documentary. It's our friend. And it establishes trust because of all the truth it reveals. And then, there's Sean Parker. He's such a nice guy associated with the Borg at Facebook. Then the back end is, the real problem is fake news. And look what it did in terms of influencing elections. They just throw that out again, over and over again, influencing or hacking the election. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody's ever been able to point at anything and say, this is how a certain state was influenced by the Russians that went to Trump, where it wouldn't have. Nobody's ever points at anything and gives any specifics. It's all ridiculous. There's no election anyway. It's all made up there's nothing to hack. There's no election anyway, so there's nothing to hack. So, but in terms of people that believe in it, if you ask them and say, well, give me the results of what the Russians did. Where did it influence a state? They won't there's no specifics on it. That's what the madness of the world we live in. people in our community, we expect a certain standard of common sense. We expect a certain standard of sanity. And the people around us will just say, Russians hacked the election, Russians hacked the election, Russians hacked the election, Russians hacked the election, Russians. They'll just parrot it, but they'll say, well, explain that to me. Where did it influence and how? And if it did influence, well, where was the finger, where did Donald Trump, where was his deal with Putin? What did he give them? Like the old days, at least they made it believable. Reagan, Iran-Contra, part of that deal, he sent a bunch of F-14s to Iran or something like that. And you could point to that. Well, you can't point to anything, but there's no common sense. Anyway, sorry for the stray. There's this ominous music undertone throughout the entire thing. And when you watch just, of course, maybe a video like this or something that's a high-level production, but when you watch like a truther, somebody that says that they're just a small channel, like what I do and what others do, but notice if they play the ominous music or at certain parts, they're trying to create an atmosphere with music, and that is always a giveaway to me that something is not quite right. I'm not talking about any playing of music just for fun. I'm talking about using music to create an ominous feel when certain ideas are presented. I'll always point at a truther and say, this is, what are you doing here? Are you legitimate? Of course, I'll have more metrics to analyze whether they're legitimate or not other than the background music. I'm just saying to make sure you pay attention to it. Because this is the guy here that was one of the original investors in Facebook. And as a venture capitalist, if that's the case, he could easily be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But now he's grown a conscience, and this is a real problem. Yeah, well, is he? How many charter flights to Africa has he taken to help get his hands dirty, help him with the farming over there in the drought? Probably, he probably took a bunch of flights to Mallorca and to the French Riviera, but probably never done much in terms of charitable work himself. But he's grown a conscience, and he's going to speak out about what he used to make $500 million on. These people are so nice and altruistic, aren't they? The back piece is just a hit piece on the truth community. They just show this kid going bad, and look, he's locking himself in his room, and he's now a victim of fake news, and there needs to be regulation and control. And these people at Silicon Valley, like this guy they interview over and over, he just seems like the nicest guy, and he really cares. And then he goes to Congress and he speaks before Congress. And don't we know by now that what's ever come out of a congressional meeting? Maybe nothing. I mean, I don't. Can you point to anything that has ever come out of a congressional meeting? Where they brought all the baseball players and baseball managers for steroid use 15 years ago, and they went before Congress, and whatever, maybe baseball has changed, but I'm saying as a result of the congressional hearings in any area, has anything ever come out of it? That might be one of the major truth drops of our era. But look, I'm sure if there's a few things people can point to, well, that's wonderful. I haven't studied it intimately, but there's very few. Congress has done thousands over the years of these dog and pony shows where they're concerned about something, and they'll bring people in and they'll grill them because they so much care about their constituents, and then later could say, well, like, look, there's the congressional hearing right there. Point to something that came out of that. All right, from the hearing. There might be a law down the road or something, but you can almost never say, oh, this came out of the hearing, and then they created a law to exactly address what they did in the hearing. It almost never happens. And what's more laws anyway? What the hell is that going to do for anybody? Thanks for listening, guys.